difficult situation, of course, in life at the moment, but it does throw up unique situations as well, such as having an Ashes winner, a World Cup winner, and a fellow AFC Wimbledon fan in my kitchen to talk about the mighty Dons at the moment. Mark Wood, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. Excited to speak to you. It's been a little while, hasn't it?
Certainly has, yeah. In terms of our situation at the moment, of course, I'd usually be down the training ground filming the lads preparing for matches. That's not happened for some time, but for yourself, you're back out there training again now. How are you finding that?
It's good. It's been a long time because of everything that's got on, but we've managed to keep ourselves relatively fit at home, and we've had exercise to do at home, and a little bit different from football, where football is obviously a contact sport. We can train and do things individually that football can't. So I've just getting back into ball by myself. It's a little bit weird. I've got a box of balls that only I can touch, and obviously all the safety protocols there and stuff, which is rightly so. But it's just a different feeling. Usually going into the ground with a full squad of training. You're bowling a batsman, you're having a laugh and joke with the lads, whereas this is solely just me and Ben Stokes. He goes in an hour before me, and then I go to Durham after. We never see each other at the minute. Hopefully in a couple of weeks that'll happen, but it's the way that's got to be done. But nice to be back, sort of, with an end goal of knowing that cricket hopefully is not too far away, because it's been hard times, and I'm sure a bit like the football, as soon as there's entertainment and sport back on, it'll give everybody a little bit of a boost.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, we've just had the 5th anniversary of your Test debut. So much you've achieved, of course, since then. Having to work through those difficult times as well in the gym, through when you were recovering from injury, I suppose you draw a lot of strength from that now.
Yes, and in some ways it is. I mean, the circumstances are very different, and I'm not for any reason suggesting that there's similarities with what's going on, but with having the time off, I sort of have similarities with when I've been injured quite a bit. Obviously, my track record isn't amazing, but to do the long periods where you're back in the gym, you're doing the rehab, you're trying to come back. This period sort of feels a little bit like that, where you've had time to just sort of solely focus on, getting those areas strengthened up, helping as a fast bowler, helping my side recover, helping my ankle get better, things like that, and really investing in myself. And to be honest, I've got a young son. He's now 8 months old, and to spend, I missed 2.5 months when I was in South Africa of his early life. So to be able to have this time now with him, I've thrown myself into sort of family life with him, and I've really enjoyed it, to be honest. So now that we've got a goal with the cricket of where we're trying to get to, I can start focusing on that. But for a little bit, it was just basically some family time, which was nice.
That's brilliant to hear. But in terms of, you sort of modified your run up now, and when we actually get back to some form of normality in life, are you confident that hopefully we're going to see a lot more of Mark Wood to come now?
I think so. I think my performances have been better since I've lengthened my run up. I certainly wish I'd done it earlier. It's something that I sort of, at the time, I hum and hard with, thinking, should I do it, should I not do it? And now, like I've just mentioned, I honestly wish I'd done it sooner. It's made a big difference. And it's helped, firstly, with the injury situation. It's took a bit of pressure off my body. And secondly, it's helped just to improve me. I've put in a couple of sort of man of the match performances for England since then. It's been a bit of a roller coaster for me, as you know. I've had good times, I've had a lot of bad times as well. So I'm hoping that this is going to be the start of more good times than certainly bad ones.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Of course, you're sitting there with your Wimbledon scarf on. That's what we're here for, to chat Wimbledon, of course. Last time we saw you, lucky charm, of course. I know it's been a bit of a while because you've been busy winning honours and so on. But since we beat Exeter that season, we went on and got promoted. So really, for you, that squad that you met that day, it's kind of got a special link for you that got us up into League One.
Definitely, and I loved my time going down there. I know it was a long day. I was doing, I did soccer AM in the morning, and then came to Wimbledon in the afternoon. But I honestly loved the day. I was looked after brilliantly. Everybody was fantastic with me. It was lovely to get on the pitch. I didn't quite expect. I was thrown in the deep end a little bit, Ivor took me on the pitch and said, "Oh, you just have to wave to the fans." And as I got on there, he said, "Mark, just a quick question." I was like, "Oh no, he's throwing me in the deep end here." But it was great to be there, be so well looked after, to see my team play. I mean, the last time I would have seen Wimbledon play would have been before that. Would have probably been, I want to say, something like Sheffield away or something. I think Andy Roberts scored that day. That's how long ago that was. So, and the only previous home game I got to see Wimbledon play was we did a big trip, me and my family, when I was young, and it was one of the earliest games I must have gone to, because Tottenham beat Wimbledon 6-2.
Yeah,
Klinsmann scored 4. So I wasn't a lucky charm that day. So I was a little bit worried going back, thinking, "Oh no," but I was impressed with the way Wimbledon played actually that day. I thought Barry Fuller, who was the captain, I couldn't believe how strong he was in the tackle live. Obviously, you hear things and stuff, but actually live, I thought he was really tenacious. Like Taylor was a big lad. He was bigger than I thought. I thought he was going to be like thin and wiry and quick, but he was so powerful, him up top. So there was a few players caught. There was a lad in the middle as well. Was it Reeves?
Yes, Jake Reeves. Yeah,
he was a tidy player. I thought he was good on that day as well. So I thoroughly enjoyed the whole experience, and it was great to see my team play.
Brilliant. And of course, as well, we had your dad came along as well, and they presented him with a picture of Hans Segas, the lookalike. Has he still got it?
I've actually got it, not my dad. It's upstairs in my house. So brilliant photo. I'm so glad that he signed it and stuff. The only thing that's missed, I mean, my dad had the big tash at the time. I'm sure Hans Segas had a mustache when I first seen the picture, and he hasn't got one in that photo. So I remember when we went on Soccer AM, they put the side by side of my dad and Hans Segas, and of course Hans must have been 25 in the picture that he was in, and my dad, of course, at the time was 50 odd, and we're like, "Well, he looks nothing like him." I was thinking, well, yeah, there's about 25 years difference here, but I mean, to have that picture is a nice memory for me of why I first started supporting Wimbledon.
Of course, as you said, I mean, a couple of other happy events have happened to you since we last spoke. You've got married, of course, as well. Was there any sort of difficulties when you were sort of meeting up about, actually, I've got to tell you, I'm a Wimbledon fan? Was she okay with that?
No, she was good. She was good. I think Sarah knows that I'm maybe a little bit different anyway. So the fact that I was a Wimbledon fan, I think she embraced that as well. I mean, she probably got used to this. Who's that team I played? Because when we're on tour, I like to play Football Manager to pass the time. Of course, I'm always AFC Wimbledon, and she's like, "Oh, who you been today?" And of course, I say AFC Wimbledon. She's like, "Yeah, nothing changes there." So it's nice that she embraces the Don's life as well.
So we've got your dad, we've got you. I mean, I think you know where this is going here. He's only 8 months old, but is he partial to the colour blue?
Of course he is. Blue and yellow. I mean, he always grabs the yellow stuff at the minute. I don't know if it's got bright colour or because he's trying to tell us he wants the Wimbledon away strip. So yellow's his favourite colour at the minute. So just add a little bit of blue in there and he'll be well on his way.
Brilliant. Got to talk as well about the fact that because you really have stood by us. I mean, there's no gimmick, there's no joke about this. You are a Wimbledon fan. When you go back into the Durham dressing room or the England dressing room, have you had to take any stick from them and said, no, I'm a Wimbledon fan through and through, me?
Well, there's plenty of times people get confused. They hear my Geordie accent, they automatically assume I'm a Newcastle fan. And I have been to some Newcastle games. I mean, we got invited from the Premier League after we won the World Cup to go to Newcastle. And my best friend is actually a Sunderland fan. So I'm actually spoiled in the North East that I can constantly be on the fence and not have to, upset anyone. So who do you support then? Is often the cry I get, and it's Wimbledon. Wimbledon, really? And I sort of say, well, yeah, this is how it is. My favourite colour was blue. I had a sticker book. Hans Segas looked like my dad, and that's how it all started. And but I remember even as a kid. I mean, this is mental, but so my friends who were Newcastle fans and things. I mean, this isn't a throw the dagger at Newcastle and Sunderland and stuff, but Wimbledon used to send me kits and little packs with toothbrushes and things like that. When I was a little kid, they would send that to my address. and none of my friends got anything from Newcastle or Sunderland and things like that. And I thought the way that sort of Wimbledon sort of looked after, I guess, young kids, all my favourite players at the time used to send me stuff with all their signings and pictures and stuff, and it would be like one every year. I think I've still got the Robbie Earl one, and I really loved that about the club, that they were so driven to look after their young fan base. Was brilliant.
It's fantastic. There's another character I've got to ask you about as well in cricket. David Bumble Lloyd, big Accrington Stanley fan in the same league as us. We beat them to get to Wembley. Has there ever been any words between you two over the years?
Well, I have spoke about it. So Bumble often, if we're on tour, Bumble's part of a card school, and I like to have a game of cards as well. So if we're sat in the airport, we'll have a game together. And he's so passionate about Accrington Stanley. Like he loves that club, and I think his knowledge would be probably up there with most supporters from Accrington Stanley. He knows the club inside out. And when I mentioned I was a Wimbledon fan, a bit like what I mentioned before, it was like Wimbledon. And it's like, they beat ourselves. Like, I know that I didn't want to rub it in too much because he's got to commentate on me. So I couldn't say too much in case he hammered me when I was bowling. But he's a great character. And, to have a guy that supports a lower league team, it's quite nice for myself as well that we can talk about not just the glitz and glam of the top division.
Absolutely. We've also got to talk about, because you very kindly a couple of years ago, you did a little video for us as well, just before the start of the season.
I've been speaking to our assistant coach at England, though, Paul Farbrace, and he tells me that Joe Pigott used to love his cricket. So I think me and him up top could really work well together. But if you just want to play one up front, Joe's out, and I'm ready. I was born ready. I've always been ready since I was 4-year-old.
And you mentioned about playing up top with Joe Pigott, and you also dropped in there about the fact of you'd heard a little bit from Paul Farbrace about him as well. Now, I've seen him out on the training ground, and on a sunny day, when he's in a good mood, he will get the bowling action out. So what have you heard about Joe Pigott?
I've heard that he's got a bit of gas, actually, that he was a quick bowler. Farby had him. He said he was a good cricketer as well. So I think that, if he maybe wants to switch roles, or I'm not sure I can do as good a job with him up top, but if he fancies to go as a bowling partnership with me, I'll get him on the other end and we'll have a go together. But feed the pig and he will score is the crack, isn't it? So feed the pig and he will bowl. That's what I'm hoping he'll come on. We can do a role reversal.
Woody, all the best to you and the boys on Thursday. Keep steaming in. Come on, let's take the Aussies to the cleaners.
Let's have it.
What is the situation with you though, and play? When you can sort of be in a situation having a kick about, have you got to be careful with that though? Now is it a little bit more?
Yeah, well, we used to play football all the time in warm-ups and things. I think it's been moved now where we don't have a kick around. I think if we went to a professional club and it was structured and stuff, I'm sure that would be okay. But we have had to be careful. We have had a couple of injuries and stuff with the football. And Ashley Giles has brought it in. It's his decision that, it's not worth losing a test match or losing a series for a key player to get injured during warm-up. I mean, it could get a bit feisty at times, especially the competitive streak you have to play international sport. It can come out whether you're playing cricket, football. If the lads are playing cards or tiddlywinks or anything, they'd be desperate to win. So we had a few good players actually. Josh Butler's a very good player. He would play like a number 10 role if you were looking at like football nowadays. And Chris Wooks is lovely on the ball, so probably like a deep midfielder. You can tell the only thing with Wooks is he doesn't try when it's match day, because he likes to keep his energy for his bowling. And I believe obviously AFC Wimbledon's not a stranger to Owen Morgan, and he's a good right back, a right full back, so he's a attacking right full back. I'm not sure he's quite the tenacious tackler as Barry Fuller, as I mentioned before when I went to watch him, but Morgie's a very steady right back, would constantly get 7 in the newspaper. Morgie he would never get a 6, but he'd be a constant well played number 7.
Somebody's been trying to grab your attention with another one with his bowling action as well, and Owen Morgan as well. Ivor Heller he's been putting some things out on Twitter. I mean, he's been keeping us all entertained, and he's been raising money as well, which is a fantastic thing. But have you had time to analyse his bowling action, Woody?
You see, my cricket ball's not exactly a proper cricket ball.
The thing that probably struck me first was, if he wants to get anything out the pitch, he's going to have to get a ball that hasn't got an emoji's face on it. I think he needs a proper cricket ball with a seam, so he can get a little bit of movement.
I'm going to try and hit the stumps 3 times. See how many I can get, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Demon bowler. Not bowled for years. I've not done this for years. Here we go. Short run up. Oh, we missed. Oh, blimey. Here, come back, Paul. Quick. We've got to run it out. Get out of the way. Quick. Yes, LZ! That's 1 out of 2. Yes, we can still do this. They're going to pick me for the one-day team. Yes! Whoa!
I mean, it's not a bad action. Good run up. Obviously, he was aiming for the stumps. He missed, but with practice, I'm sure he'll get there. I'll give either, he'd maybe be a first change. I wouldn't give him the new ball. It'd probably be first change.
Brilliant. We've also got to talk about somebody who you did meet on your last visit to us as well. He's now the captain, local lad, Will Nightingale, and also the fact that the Academy have now produced so many players that have now come into the first team. Can you kind of relate to that with Durham, that you've had that success production line of players coming through?
Yep, and I think that's from a cricketing point of view. Before obviously I talk about the football, from a cricketing point of view, it's vital for county cricket that they bring through their own youngsters. It's not like football where transfers happen left, right, and centre. Some people do move on, but you tend to be a bit more established before that happens. So the academies are vital. Durham being a little bit more isolated than obviously most places in the country, gets its own sort of pick, and I think those values and sort of deep-rooted inner strength and stuff that we have in relate to the area, that comes through when you're coming through the academy, and then that pushes you on to the first team. I think that's sort of similar with Wimbledon, the values that the club's had over a long period of time, the crazy gang, that sort of togetherness, the fact that no one takes themselves too seriously, and you're not back a peg or two if you are. So that hard work, and I think it's great that the academy brings through the likes of Will. The fact that he's gone on to be captain says a lot as well. It's not just that he's come through the academy to be a squad player or to have a captain of the club, and I think that's fantastic. That he has come through the academy, and for Wimbledon to progress. I know there's a lot of transfers in football and stuff, but in a day and age where no one seems to come from, where they're from or anything, to have a core nucleus, I think would be brilliant for Wimbledon, especially going into a new stadium back home. They have homegrown players, it'll ignite the fans even more and keep the interest in the area.
When we last saw you, of course, as well, you very kindly brought your Ashes medal down and shared it with us fans there, your fellow fans. And in recent months, they've stepped up big time. They've got into the bond situation. They've sort of managed to fund the fact that we can still have Plough Lane be a fan-owned club. Many of them are out there now in the community helping vulnerable people at the moment. Have you got a message for their efforts in recent months? Because it's been outstanding.
Yeah, well, I think the word outstanding doesn't really do it justice. I mean, the fact that they've kept the club as a supporters club, they've kept the dream alive of going home, but more importantly, with everything that's going on, to be able to help vulnerable people, to be able to throw on the shirt or the scarf or the hat or the polo shirt and say, look, we represent AFC Wimbledon, this is what we're about helping people, we're about hard work. I think that speaks volumes for the club. It's always been a club that's obviously close to my heart, but I'm sure supporters of other clubs will see the hard work that Wimbledon are doing, and they'll see that as a huge positive as well. That this is a little old Wimbledon was the cry in 1980 odd when we beat the Giants Liverpool. Little old Wimbledon, and little old Wimbledon's putting big things again with out in the community, helping fellow people and helping whether you're a Wimbledon fan or not. The fans are there to help.
Brilliant. Just to say as well, we've touched upon it, but you must have seen some of these new images coming up of Plough Lane and how the ground is taking shape. The main stand is up, the pitch is down. looking for an October completion. You must be getting very excited about that, yeah?
Yes, I think, like I say, it feels like the real home. I know, obviously, we've spent time away from there, but I feel like going back to Plough Lane, it's where everybody, all the songs, when I first started going to watch, that was what it was about, and the place had fantastic memories and things. I think to go back there and to see the development that, and probably it's not just the development, it's the hard work that's got into it. It's not just about one thing. There's a whole host of people, dreams. I mean, I'm sure if the fans and me and you're excited, the players must be desperate to get in there. So I'm sure that there'll be no sort of stone left unturned, and it'll be a huge success. It's hard to say what it's going to be like, obviously, because we're just looking at the development at the minute and pictures and stuff, but the pictures look awesome. I think they really do look awesome. So it'll make probably other teams a little bit jealous, but it doesn't bother me, because I think it'll just raise the profile of the club even more.
Yeah, great. I mean, we look forward to coming down and seeing you there at the ground as
well.
well.
I did bring my Ashes medal last time, so maybe this time if I come to Plough Lane, I'll have to bring my World Cup medal. I'll try, and I'm sure Morgie would help as well, but we'll try and get the World Cup down at some stage, because that was one of the. I took the World Cup my local cricket club, and that was a fantastic day. So if I could do the same for Wimbledon or down there, then I'll do the best I could to help.
Being a veteran of Test Match Special as well, we were trying to get you down for that memorable night we had against West Ham in the Cup. We were going to get you on commentary, but would you know it, you get called up for a winter tour, so you couldn't make that one. But to get you on commentary as well, maybe
I wasn't to be honest, with Test Match Special. I mean, I've done Sky and Test Match Special. Test Match Special it's just like a conversation of this, where Sky, you've got someone in your ear and things like that. I'm not sure what kind of voice I would have for radio. I mean, I know I've got the face for radio, but my voice, if I was on Wimbledon, how do you think they would take me? You think I'd be all right?
Listen, we go off tangent on so many things. We can talk about cake when it gets boring as well, so there's no problem. You'd have no problems. You'd be great. Fantastic catching up with you, Woody. Really appreciate it. And of course, you know that when you do get back into action, not just Ashington and Durham, but you'd have a whole legion of AFC Wimbledon fans backing you as well when you're steaming in again. We hope to see you soon.
Thanks, mate. Great to see you.
Up the Dons.
Up the Dons, lad. Up the Dons.